Now, another function that the genitive case can have is describing the type of noun. But I'm not talking about adjectives, which are describing words. This directly impacts the noun. So in genitive, we would have an art book, or a math teacher, or a sport club, because we are describing the type of book, the type of teacher, the type of club. Meanwhile, an adjective would describe the book. So instead of saying the type of book is art, you would say, oh, that's a creative book. That's a smart teacher. That's a sporty club, even. Because they are describing it, but they're not necessarily saying the type of book. Now, a huge difference here is the type of word that goes before it. An adjective is a describing word. It's not a noun. It's not a thing, essentially. Art is a thing. Math is a thing. A sport is a thing. But a sporty is not a thing. A smart, it's not a thing. Or a creative, that's not a thing. But they can describe a thing, like a book, a teacher, or a club. Now you remember that all of these noun declensions, these are all nouns. They're people, places, or things. So of course our genitive is going to be a noun, a thing, a person, or a place. So we can do the same exact thing. We have our chart again, just like before. Maxla, we find our fourth declension, A, and then we bring it down to AS. So maxla becomes maxlas, when we are putting it in the genitive form, of course. Then we have sports. So we find S, and then we bring it down to sporta. And it's just like we did before, but for a different purpose. And here, a reminder of exactly the same as we did before. Because it's still the genitive case, it's just serving a different function right now. You may have heard of the Latvian word for gym, which directly translates to sports hall. And you might have heard sporta zāle. Why is it sporta zāle? Because we're talking about a hall, and that's in nominative. And then we're talking about the kind of hall that it is. It is a sports hall. So sports is in genitive, we have sporta zāle. Then if we were talking about a learning classroom, the type of classroom it is, it's a learning classroom. So we have mācību, and that is in genitive, and then our nominative, klase. Now, for a moment, let's talk about laptop, because I think this is pretty interesting. So laptop is klepidators. If you break it apart, you have klepis, which is lap, and then if we were putting klepis into genitive form, we would have klepja. So of course it's is becomes a, and then they add a j to kind of cushion it again to make it sound a little nicer. Then you add the nominative dators, and when two words become one, the pronunciation changes, spelling changes can happen, and it's a very interesting thing. Now that's about it for the genitive case. Of course, there is another function that it has, but that is involving prepositions.